New threat to China in the South China Sea. US allies gang up against the Dragon. Biden's mini-NATO takes shape in Asia-Pacific. Japan and the Philippines, two of the closest Asian allies of the United States, signed an agreement on July 8th that is likely to upset China. It could also be seen as a possible provocation by Beijing, given the rising tensions and confrontations with Manila in the South China Sea. During a ceremony in Manila, the Foreign Minister of Japan Yoko Kamikawa and Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro entered into a key defense pact dubbed Reciprocal Access Agreement, which among other things would facilitate the deployment of troops on each other's territory.
本日はマルコス大統領ご対地会の下におきまして、部隊間の両国の部隊間の協力円滑化協定 RAA これに署名することができましたことは画期的な成果であると考えております。これを土台に両国間の安全保障防衛協力におきまして一層強化をしてまいりたいと考えております。
So for the past 68 years, our cooperation has flourished in a robust into a robust strategic partnership. We have engaged each other in key areas, especially in economic and development cooperation, security, defense, as well as maritime cooperation. Japan is a trusted friend and a steadfast partner in promoting overall Philippine development.
The deal, the first of its kind to be signed by Japan in Asia, would take effect after ratification by both countries' legislatures. The agreement creates a framework to facilitate military cooperation, such as making the entry of foreign personnel and equipment easier for the visiting forces for joint combat training. In addition to this, Japan has agreed to provide the Philippines with coastal surveillance radars under its Official Security Assistance Program, aimed at helping boost the deterrence capabilities of partner countries. However, the scope of Japanese military aid is limited by a self-imposed ban on lethal equipment exports. Japan and the Philippines shared uneasy ties over Japanese aggression during World War II. However, amid the perceived threat from China, the two countries have steadily deepened defense and security ties. A Japanese military presence in the Philippines could help Manila counter Chinese influence in the South China Sea, where Beijing's maritime claims conflict with those of a number of Southeast Asian nations. Both the Philippines and Japan have taken a strong line against what they see as aggressive behavior by Chinese vessels amid decades-old disputes over maritime sovereignty. Japan has supported the Philippines' position in the South China Sea and has expressed serious concern over China's actions, including recent hints that allegedly resulted in damage to Philippine vessels and injured a Filipino sailor. However, China accuses the Philippines of instigating the violence, saying the Filipino sailors strayed into what it called Chinese territorial waters despite warnings.
菲律宾不顾中方的劝阻，执意侵闯中国南沙群岛仁爱礁，是造成这次事态的直接原因。中国海警的现场采取的执法措施是专业克制的，旨在拦阻非方的船只非法运补，没有对非方的人员直接采取措施。
Although Japan doesn't have any claim to the South China Sea, it has a separate maritime dispute with Beijing in the East China Sea, where they have repeatedly faced off. In a step away from its post-war pacifism, Japan, in December 2023, announced its biggest military build-up since World War II. Apart from boosting its army budget, Tokyo has also sought to strengthen defense ties with other nations which are part of the US-led Western Bloc. In addition to Philippines, Japan signed similar accords with other countries, including a security treaty with the United States, under which Tokyo hosts the biggest concentration of American forces abroad. It also signed a joint declaration on security cooperation with Australia in 2022 and the Reciprocal Access Agreement with Britain in 2023. Tokyo is, in the meantime, negotiating a similar defense deal with France. The Philippines has a visiting forces agreement with the United States and Australia. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida's moves dovetail with Philippines President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s effort to forge security alliances to bolster the Philippine military's limited ability to defend Manila's territorial interests in the South China Sea. The busy sea passage is a key global trade route which has been claimed virtually in its entirety by China but also contested in part by the Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei and Taiwan. The United States, which shares deep military ties with both Tokyo and Manila, has also been strengthening an arc of defense alliances in the Indo-Pacific to better counter China, including in any future confrontation over Taiwan, which Beijing claims as its own territory. Japan and the Philippines are treaty allies of the US, and their leaders held three-way talks in April this year at the White House, where President Joe Biden renewed Washington's ironclad commitment to defend Japan and the Philippines. While China is yet to officially comment on the issue, it is expected to condemn it like it did when the US, Japan and Philippines held the highly targeted summit in Washington. China had expressed strong opposition to the group's pledge to enhance military ties to cope with what it calls Beijing's threats. In response to the summit, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning said, "China strongly opposes the practice of bloc politics by relevant countries. We firmly oppose any acts that stoke and drive up tensions and harm other countries' strategic security and interests. We are seriously against forming exclusive groupings in this region. Certain countries keep seeking backing from non-regional countries as they infringe on China's sovereignty and rights and make provocations at sea. What they have done has escalated the tensions." Some Chinese analysts and government officials even termed the Trilateral Summit an anti-China gathering which moves a step closer to Washington's goal of forming a mini-NATO in the Asia-Pacific to maintain its hegemony in the region. Beijing's criticism stems from 2023 reports claiming that the US-led military alliance NATO and Japan had agreed to open the bloc's first Asia liaison office in Tokyo in 2024 for use as a hub for cooperation with Australia, Japan, New Zealand and South Korea. Halfway into 2024, there are no indications yet that the NATO office is being set up in Tokyo. However, the latest move in the area of defense by the two closest US allies in the region, Japan and the Philippines, could be seen as a step in the same direction by Beijing, therefore stoking further tensions.